Hi, I'm John Whalen. I'm a clinical educator for Healthmark Industries, and today we're going to talk about the leak tester. So the purpose of a leak tester is to measure the pressure delivered from a flexible endoscope leak tester. So let's start with the purpose and the rationale behind why a leak tester. Yes, we need to be in compliance with national standards and guidelines, and those specifically, AAMI ST91, AORN, call for the need to have quality control for any automated processing, including leak testers, every day that they're used. So this is the solution that Healthmark has for addressing compliance with national standards and guidelines. Using an endoscope with leaks creates a potential for cross-contamination, endoscope damage, and costly repairs. So it's important that we test and measure to make sure that we're discovering leaks, no matter how large or small. Leak testing is performed every time a scope is processed, before immersion in any fluid. A leak is an opportunity for both fluid and bioburden invasion inside the scope. Faulty leak testers are both a device and an infection risk. If a leak tester has incorrect pressure outputs, it can handicap discovery of leaks, which is a common endoscope repair issue. So that is why both handheld and automated leak testers need to be tested every day that they're used. Before we get started on a step-by-step of how to use a leak tester, let's talk about what options Healthmark has available. We have, for the automated MU1 leak tester for Olympus, the base unit, as well as the cable. This is also used for the Olympus handheld. And then we have leak testers for Pentex and Storz as well. Healthmark offers these as individual options, or you can order a complete set depending on your needs. So this video is for demonstration purposes only. In actual use, leak testers are used in a decontamination area, so you need to follow your facility's policies and wear appropriate PPE. So each leak tester has an appropriate PSI value, and you want to reference RIFU for the leak tester to be able to tell from one brand to the next what the correct PSI reading should be. The first part of the demonstration for the leak tester, when you're using any leak tester, just like you would for any device, you would look to make sure that there's no damage for the device itself, and you also want to make sure that the gauge is set at 0. If it's not set at 0 for whatever reason, you pull the blue pin at the top of the gauge, and that will release the pressure and bring it back to 0. So we're going to start by showing use of the leak tester to test one of the most commonly used automated leak testers that's out there, the Olympus MU1 base unit and the MB155 cable. In order to do this, we need to test each of these individually. So we're going to start by testing the base unit, the pump, by removing the cable and inserting the leak tester with the stem into the base unit. We're going to turn on the base unit and look for the pressure reading on the gauge. This reads in pounds per square inch, or PSI. It needs to be at least 4 PSI, and you can see on this gauge it reads almost 6. So this passes. When you perform leak tester verifications, you need to do this for at least 1 minute. We'll say that 1 minute has passed. We turn the leak tester off, and we remove the leak tester. The next thing we're going to do is test the cable, because that could fail as well, separate from the base unit. We're going to connect the appropriate leak tester, and we're going to do the same. Turn the unit on and look at the gauge. For this, the cable measurement needs to be between 2.9 and 4.1. You can see that it is. We're going to do it again for at least a minute. What I recommend too is that you move the cable as you do it to make sure you're not opening up any cracks that may exist in the cable, and that the gauge doesn't fall suddenly. At the end of the test, we turn the base unit off. We release the pressure just like you would if you have an endoscope hooked up to it, and we remove the leak tester. So we now want to show use of the leak tester for a handheld leak tester. And the example we're going to use is a Storz handheld leak tester. This is a good example of one of the most common scopes you get from an OR setting, for example. So what we're going to do is inspect the leak tester for any visible damage before we use it. We're going to make sure that the gauge is set at 0. And then we're going to do the same for the leak tester to make sure that we're not seeing any visible damage that could affect the results. To perform the test, we're going to connect the two together. We're going to inflate the leak tester gauge into the range that you normally would for a test. And at that point in time, we have two gauge readings. We have the leak tester and the leak tester. The leak tester to pass needs to be a value of at least 3 psi or above. You can see that it is. It's at 3.5 psi, so that passes. The other thing we want to point out is that our gauge measures in psi. This handheld leak tester measures in millimeters of mercury. You want to make sure that the values equal each other, and the way to do that is to reference our conversion table in our IFU, where we convert psi to millimeters of mercury. As you're performing the leak tester test, you want to move the leak tester a little bit and just make sure that the needle doesn't drop suddenly, meaning that you have a leak or an incomplete connection. At the end of the test, you're going to depress the button on the leak tester to release the pressure and remove it from the leak tester. I want to just call out a few special warnings and cautions when using the leak tester. If the gauge becomes inadvertently submerged in fluid or the leak tester is dropped, it should be returned to Healthmark for proper calibration. Submerging, dropping, or mishandling the leak tester may damage the accuracy of the gauge. Additionally, each of these leak testers should be returned annually to Healthmark for recalibration. So just to reiterate, the goal and the value of the leak tester is a solution for discovery of leaks, because a leak can result in device damage or cross-contamination. And this is Healthmark's solution to help prevent that. To learn more about the leak tester, you can visit hmark.com or reach out to your local Healthmark representative.